Welcome to The Lazy Girl Library, the podcast where reading is a pleasure and captivating adventures happen from the comfort of your couch. I'm your host, Darby.
And I'm Michaela.
And if you've ever spent more time rearranging your bookshelf than your priorities, then you, my friend, are in the right place.
Hello, Darby.
Hey, did you guys miss us? It's episode 9.
Woo, we're back. Finally. Took a little bit of a break.
Bet you didn't know we were leaving.
You know, life happens, things happen, it gets kind of crazy. We took a little break, but we're back and better than ever now.
We just had to have a hot girl summer, but we're back for fall.
Yep. So fall girl time.
Yeah.
So this episode's going to be more of what we call a book blender episode. We
love alliterations.
Yes. We did have a book club book for July. It was The Housemaid.
You all had plenty of time to read it.
Yes, plenty of time. Had The Housemaid by Freida McFadden. So we're going to talk about that one a little bit, but we're kind of blending this episode as a book talk, also with just a pod catch-up. What have we been up to? What have we been reading? Get back into it. And yeah, what have we been up to on this break?
So, summer catch-up. Here's what I've been up to. I moved into a house in like May time. I might have said that on the podcast. I don't remember. But I moved into a house. It's been good until we found out that there was a leak in our shower. But it wasn't like a super noticeable leak. So by the time that we found it, like our walls had so much water. They took out the carpet in our closet. There's a big hole in our living room now. Like we can see
the inner like a construction
zone. It does. Yeah. We had like 3 different humidifiers and fans in there. So loud. It was very overstimulated. They're gone now. So we're slowly fixing it back up.
Yeah. At least you didn't have to pay for it.
Yes. It's a rental house. We didn't buy this place. We're just renting it. So
at least the positive and the negative, right?
Yes. So we won't have to pay for everything. Although we did bring up to our like rental place that we didn't want to have fans and humidifier. Like we didn't ask for that. So are you going to help us with our electricity bill? They gave us a big fat no. They said, nope, not our problem. But it's
rude.
like, okay, well, it's not our problem either.
Yeah.
Anywho. So moved into a house. I had my friend's bachelorette party in St. Augustine, and that was really fun. I really haven't been to St. Augustine much, and it's so cute. I really liked it.
It's very quaint.
I also got asked to be a bridesmaid over summer by Miss Michaela.
Surprise!
I said no. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. No, she did it. It was so cute. We did a PowerPoint night, which if you don't know, it's going to be hard to explain. I think it's more of a Gen Z thing, but basically you and your friends make PowerPoints on anything.
Yep.
And so Michaela went last on our PowerPoint night, and her title screen was like the Bridesmaid Chronicles, and it was like book themed, and the silence was so loud. Everyone in the room was like in shock. And then she brought out these cute boxes that were all like tailored to each of us. And then each of her slides was a book page that had like descriptions of like our friendship and all these cute qualities and Disney characters that we were. Oh, it was so good.
The goal was to make everyone cry, and I think I achieved that goal.
Yeah, absolutely. It was crazy. One of my favorite summer memories.
Aw, I'm so happy you said yes.
Yeah. And then what else has been going on? It's been kind of a slow season at work for me.
That's nice though, because you came off a really busy season.
Yeah, springtime, basically from mid-February to mid-May, like you can't talk to me. Like it's crazy. So we had our event wrap up and then getting prepared, and now we're back to planning. But it's still not as crazy as it will be in the springtime. So that's been really nice. I had my mom's birthday. Happy birthday, Mama D. That was fun, just getting to hang out with the family. I have 4 siblings, for those of you who don't know, so sometimes it's hard to get us under the same roof, and actually we didn't even have all of us under the same roof for her birthday, but we had majority of us, so it was nice to hang out with the fam.
Shout out the Wellbaum clan.
Yeah, Wellbaum clan and Browns. I have half siblings, but
True.
Wellbaum Browns. And then what else? Oh, we just had our beer Olympics.
So fun.
Yeah, Michaela and I were on the same team together. We got last place.
But we had fun doing it anyway.
We had so much fun. Michaela shotgunned for the first time.
Which was wild.
She was incredible.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, she put me to shame. No,
No,
I'm not good
definitely
at shotgunning anyway, but like, no, you literally crushed it. Like, I was in shock. Like, you finished, and I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta go. Like, but I was just in awe watching you, and that was really cool. And we played beer ball together. We were teammates for that.
I definitely let you down in that regard.
No.
Everything
it's fine.
kind of went off the rails for me after shotgunning.
Beer ball always does me in though, because after beer Olympics, I was like, Diego, play with me more. And then I'm like decent at beer ball, so we kept winning. But the point of beer ball, or peg the can, whatever you want to call it, is you're like chugging a full like can of beer. Is, you know, the essence of the game. How fast can you do it? Like, with other rules involved. But then I'm like on game 3 and I'm like, I cannot be drinking like this. So it's like, I wasn't even drunk from beer Olympics. I was drunk from post beer Olympics power hour.
And rewinding a little bit for those of you who don't know what a beer Olympics is, it's basically like an adult field day with drinking games. So you play a bunch of drinking games like beer ball, peg the can, beer pong,
Flip
shotgun
cup.
relay, flip cup, elimination flip cup,
Drunk
like
limbo.
Yep, drunk limbo was a great one, and we even did like 3-legged race, dizzy bat, like that kind of thing. So it was super fun.
It was our 6th year doing it, which is kind of crazy.
It is crazy, and we're all kind of in our later 20s at this point.
Mid to late.
You're right. I'm speaking for myself. I am starting to get. I always forget I'm.
You're not late yet.
You're right. I have an extra week and a half.
Yeah, exactly. Hold on to that week.
Aging myself. But we definitely, I feel like every year it gets like smaller and like more chill in a good way, but because we're all like, we're getting too old for this.
I'm like, I need to ref next year.
But it's always a good time.
Yeah, it is always a good time. So we just had that, and then kind of overarching theme, I've been reading a lot this summer.
You've been crushing
We'll get into it, but whoa. I've been reading a lot.
Yeah.
But that's been kind of just a little taste of what I've been up to this summer.
Yeah.
What about you, Michaela?
My summer's been kind of crazy. I did have a little bit of a health scare. Not going to go into it, but I am doing okay and much better. But that took up a little bit of stress and time.
What's the song? I'm stronger than yesterday.
Yeah. So we're all good now, but that took some time, doctor's appointments, things like that. But I did get to spend a lot of time with my family this summer, which was nice. My parents live out of state, so it's always nice when we get together. And we even had a really big family get together for my grandma's 91st birthday.
Oh.
So happy birthday, Nana. I love you.
Happy birthday, Nana.
So that was really fun getting to see like everybody and people from like my uncle lives over in Paris. So he even came.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Bonjour. Did he miss the Olympics, or was he there for the Olympics?
He got to be there for the opening ceremony. Got to watch some of them.
Wow.
He was at he got to see the gymnastics with like Simone Biles too. Jealous. So jealous.
That's so cool. I would love to go to an Olympics at some point in my lifetime.
Too. LA maybe.
Maybe.
We try.
That'd be fun.
Go stay with our friend and go check it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was really nice getting to see all my family and celebrate her and her beautiful life. And I was fully invested in the Summer Olympics this year.
Not surprising.
No, I was fully into it. I had shout out Peacock because they did a fantastic job. I feel like this was like the best Olympics that in my recent memory of like coverage wise. They had the Gold Zone going, which
we watched that.
That's what I watched the majority of the time, which is my favorite because it really helped like swapping from all the different events so you could see everything instead of having to like pick and choose like what you wanted.
And for those who don't know, Gold Zone is a play on Red Zone, and what Red Zone is, it's something that the girls don't always love because your boyfriends or husbands, it basically means they get to watch 8 hours of uninterrupted commercial-free football.
Yep.
And they only show when a football team is in the red zone, so when they're about to score. So Gold Zone was a play on that. So they were showing all the different events and like when people were like getting close to winning and stuff.
But it was really cool because you got to watch a lot of sports that, like, you wouldn't think to put on yourself if you're, like, going and watching the Olympics.
It was neat. I did like Gold Zone. I'm sad I didn't listen to more of the Call Her Daddy segments because she had her own show for the Olympics.
I didn't even know.
Yeah. So I didn't listen to that one or watch that one as much, but I wish I had.
I didn't even know. Yeah, I'm going to have to go back and look into that. I loved keeping up this year. I always keep up with, like, one new sport I feel like each year I get invested in. Because there's always, like, the typical ones. Like, gymnastics, obviously, I'm going to watch Simone Biles kill
Swimming.
it. Like, which is just, her power is insane. Swimming, yes, you're going to watch. Katie Ledecky, whoo, killed it. I also love watching synchronized diving. That's another one of my favorites. It's always like towards the beginning. It just amazes me how in sync they are down to like the very minute details.
Yeah.
Wild.
I didn't realize that like your splash is scored. Like it's crazy.
It is pretty crazy. But this year, my one that I really got into was women's rugby.
Yeah.
Because of Alona Mayer, I want to say is
she the one that was doing like the Love Island TikTok trends? Oh my god, yeah, she was funny.
I fell in love with her the last Summer Olympics because of her TikTok. But this year I really because of Gold Zone got to sit and actually watch rugby, and they won bronze for the US, which is the first medal, men's or women's, for the program that we've won in the event, which is
go USA.
Wild. Yeah, USA. And so happy it was the women's too. Yeah. So that was really fun to watch and get to see, and watching her TikToks along with it was fantastic. So I loved that. Yeah. Rugby for the win this year.
Go rugby. I'm just thinking of the Friends episode when
I don't think I know.
Who is it? Okay. They're playing rugby and who is it? I don't know why there are two rugby guys there, but they're playing rugby and Ross is trying to show off for Rachel, I think. I could be totally butchering this and misremembering. Yeah, that's really all I have from the memory. It's they're playing rugby and he jumps into the pile.
I have as you're describing, I have
it's a vague
memory.
Mirage is coming up.
Yep,
yeah.
Yep.
It's vague for me too, but that's all I'm thinking of when I think of rugby is just them playing.
I feel what I've learned is rugby is very much that combination between soccer and football.
Yeah.
Obviously it leans more towards football, and I love football, so maybe that's why I really enjoy watching rugby. But because of the continuous play and everything, it really reminded me a lot of soccer too. So it's kind of fun seeing the new sports and picking up how they connect within other sports to help you understand it more, kind of.
Yeah. Justin, my husband, is convinced that he would be great at handball. I don't know if you watched any of handball, but
Josh did. I think they're joining together to make a team
a league
for 2028. Yeah.
All right, we'll be the cheerleaders.
Yeah.
But it was just funny because he was like, well, I could so do that.
Right.
I was like, sure, you could be a gold medalist. He's actually very athletic. He could probably do everything. Yeah.
I think that's all the boys, though, when they watch these, I could do that.
Yeah.
Or sorry, go ahead.
The question of could you build an airplane or land an airplane?
Oh, I don't know that one.
Oh, there was this thing going around where they were asking guys do you think you could land an airplane if you had to? And everyone was yeah, of course. No.
Josh is such he loved the sorry, Josh.
Geek. I'm just kidding.
He used to play an actual flight simulator.
As
a kid, growing up, through high school and even the college kind of thing. So I don't know his answer to that question, actually by asking him, but I know his answer would be 100% be oh yeah, I can do it, easy. Yeah, I got the hours.
I've only ever seen one of those games once. I had a Wish kid, and their wish was to be a fighter jet pilot, and we ended up interviewing them. So we went to his house, and he had a little flight simulator.
That's awesome.
Just a little controller. And it was really cool.
It makes me think of those memes too that you see on the internet around the Olympics, where it's you're sitting on your couch shoving your face with potato chips and completely judging oh, she stepped out of bounds there, rookie mistake.
Yeah.
You could even do a fraction of what she just did.
It's crazy. I actually don't love watching the Olympics because I used to cheer and I used to tumble. Not an ounce of what they could do. So we'll get started there. I'm not comparing myself to them, but it's I can't watch them tumble because I ended my cheerleading career in a mental block, which is kind of
the twisty.
Yeah. I guess that's maybe what they called in gymnastics, but in cheer, a lot of people call it a mental block. And so
I couldn't like tumble. So like when I watch them, it like makes me sad. But I could never do that anyway.
Right, it's like the
but like
nostalgia
yeah,
of it,
so
yeah.
sometimes like watching them when they do the floor stuff, I'm like change it to track.
I love gymnastics every year.
Gymnastics is fun. I think track is my favorite though. It's so simple.
Yeah, that's true. I do love when it gets like close to the end, so like the races and watching. Those are the best.
Didn't like one of the U.S. like bronze girls? Didn't they take it away?
Yeah, for gymnastics.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's Jordan Childs. Like it's just
It's like a judge
totally,
made a thing after the.
I'm not completely read up on all of the minute details of it, but from my understanding is the Romanians were going to win bronze but there's an issue with Jordan Childs scoring. So they challenged it. They found that they were correct in the challenge. So then Jordan Childs' score was changed. She ended up winning bronze. But then the Romanian team came back and challenged that the U.S. submitted their challenge too late.
Yeah, it was like a fourth of a second or something like that.
Because they have to do it within 1 minute. And they said it was like too late for them to do it when they did. But then the U.S. team came back with receipts and was like, no, we submitted it within the time frame and gave the receipts of it.
Mic drop.
But then the Olympic Committee decided to side with the Romanians and be like, no, there was an issue on our part and really it couldn't
just give them both the medal.
Right,
Give
at
them
that
both
point,
the medal.
Exactly. I don't understand why this is such a big deal. And especially if it has nothing to do with the two athletes, it has everything to do with the incompetency of the judges at that time.
Ooh, look at that word drop.
Thank you. Then it 100% should not affect the athletes. Just give them both the... you can do that too.
There's that one, I think it's 2 track stars where they both get the gold.
I love that
That's
story.
my favorite video. So I'm like, just give them both the bronze.
Exactly.
We're all winners.
You can still... Yeah, exactly. You see it happening. It's neither of their faults. It's on them for their organization.
Especially if the organization is saying it's on them. That's even more of a reason to give it to both of them, I think.
Exactly. I hope I got all those details right.
Well, close enough.
Yeah.
Also, we both have been watching Love Island USA, right?
Yeah.
Did you finish it?
I haven't, but I know what happens because I'm one of those people when I watch reality shows, like I'm on the Reddit threads. Like I know all the spoilers because I like to know what's going on right now and then watch what happened for context of what's going on. Okay. So I made it watching the episodes through like Casa.
Okay.
And
did you get to movie night?
Yes, I made it past movie night.
Then you're like,
that's what I figured. Yeah, if I know what happens, then I'm like, I basically made it.
I usually like speed through like the final dates or whatever because it's not fun anymore. Everyone just loves each other. I'm like, okay,
There's no drama.
now let me just tell me who wins now.
Right.
Like, I don't need to hear you're professing your love.
Exactly.
Who was your favorite couple?
My favorite couple, I think, was Janae and Kenny. Yeah.
Kenny.
He was just such a sweetie pie too.
When he cried, I was like,
my heart.
I was like, a man expressing feelings. Oh my gosh.
Yes. And he out of all of the men that night too coming back, he was the one that had the least to feel sorry for because like he had just met Janae, so of course he's testing like connections and everything too. So, like, the fact that he was feeling so bad and so guilty about it when all these other men, like, Aaron was like, whatever, when you were the one out of all of them that should have been more considerate about it.
I didn't like how, obviously the cameras don't show everything, but from what the cameras did show, like, I thought Serena had so friend-zoned Cordell that I was like, Cordell's doing nothing wrong. Like, you've been kind of like a prick to him.
Yep.
So that one I was like, whatever. Also, I think he only won because of his brother. Like, let's be real. But anyway.
I do think that, like, I get being upset a little bit because you think he was, like, a little disrespectful.
The way he went about it was,
But I know, I totally agree with you. He had every right to go in and
like,
test
talk to
it
someone,
out.
bring someone back. Yeah.
Absolutely. Especially after the last challenge when she, like, stepped out of the dance floor,
like,
I want to get to know more people. Like, he deserved to go and do his thing. Yeah, and so, but he did handle it not the best way. But he did deserve it more than Aaron did. That was just so messy.
Yeah. Did you like Rob and Leah or no?
Okay, so if Janae and Kenny are my favorite couple, Leah's my favorite, like, person on the
Really?
season.
Okay, I didn't get the hype about Leah.
I don't know. It's like a vibe thing for me. Immediately when they were, like, introducing everybody, I was like, she's gonna be my favorite. It was just a vibes initial, like, I feel it. And she was. Throughout the whole thing that I've watched, I didn't see anything that, like, I didn't like. I loved her.
Okay.
I can understand where people might be rubbed the wrong way, because I feel like she's very just, like, chill girl.
Yeah. Well, okay. Keep
What
going. Well, no. Continue your thought, and then I'll hop in.
I feel like she can come across, and I think she has a hard time putting her thoughts into words sometimes, which I have a hard time with too. So, like, the whole taking a back seat situation that happened, I felt for her hard, because I understood.
I hope at the reunion they roll the tapes.
I really hope so too, because I did understand how like Liv and Kayla could be upset by that saying. And like I did understand to a point their side, but I understood what Leah was trying to say, and that the word just maybe wasn't the right saying of what she was trying to convey.
Yeah.
So I felt for her. I feel like that happened a lot for her though. But to give her credit, I think she did own up to a lot of things. And I think if things happened with Rob or even with Liv and Kayla, she came back. She's like, "Look, my bad. I feel bad about this. I'm sorry. That's not what I meant." Like,
no, I really liked how she took accountability for stuff, because she was, like, aggressive sometimes.
Right.
I think that's just what rubbed me. Like, she's just very, what's the word? I'm very passive, and I don't even mean to be, but, like, I just don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. She's very good at being blunt, so.
Oh, yeah. She stood on business.
Yeah. So I guess that's why I was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
But she, like, people love her. And then what about Rob? Did you like him or no?
I did at first, and him and Leah at first, especially through, like, when Liv came in as the bombshell and took him away. I did like him and Leah, but then as soon as Andrea came in, and that whole, like, first fight happened with him crying, I'm like, give me a break. Like, he lost me at that point. And then it was just too heavy in production's favorites.
Have you listened to any of the podcasts that they've done?
I haven't listened to them, but I've read, like, summaries of them, basically. It's like the Call Her Daddy podcast that he went on. I don't know. I think... he's an interesting character. I wouldn't say that he's like Aaron gives me like anger issues.
Oh, my least favorite was Kendall. He gave me such an ick.
For
oh
sure.
My gosh.
Yeah, I don't think Rob's like up there for me in that regard, but he definitely like rubbed me the wrong way in a lot of different places, and I'm interested to see how he reacts after like hearing about the Call Her Daddy. He was kind of like, yeah, I see what they were talking about, kind of thing. He
was weird. I listened to him on the BFF podcast or whatever with the Barstool one. He was kind of weird on that one. Like it was funny. Dave Portnoy was like calling him out because he said, I just like new experiences. Like I wasn't trying to be famous. He's like, you're not trying to be famous. You're basically TikTok famous before you got on the show. Like,
right.
And I was like, oh, he's got you there.
Dave's podcast or the BFFs podcast.
It's just funny because he's a boomer, so he like doesn't hold back. Like
he
stands on business.
Yes, absolutely. It was I saw clips of those. That was funny. But talk to me about Kendall.
Oh yeah, he just gives me the ick.
Yeah.
Like I literally can't explain it, and I don't be mean to him, but like I just don't like it, and I feel like maybe he grew up like not so popular, and now that he's like grown into like a good looking boy, this is all again such a hypocrite of me. Like I have no idea, but like I just feel like he just was like, I'm part of the cool guys, and like I'm a cool guy, and I'm like, no, you're not. Like I don't know.
There were two instances that really bothered me about Kendall. One was when he was talking to Serena after Casa, I think maybe, and he was like kind of like cornering her
face,
in the kitchen, like towering over her and like trying to force her to talk to him. Ooh, that really like that triggered my fight in the fight or flight stance. Like I did not appreciate that one, and how he handled himself in Casa with all the other boys, I thought was ridiculous. Even though he himself didn't do anything shady, encouraging all the boys to be shady, especially when like with Cordell. Like Cordell was initially like, oh, I don't know, feeling bad about it. He's like, no, go do it, and like encouraging him into the bad behavior.
He was like the only one who was acting like that.
Yep. Real icky.
Anyway, though, so that's kind of been our summer.
Yeah.
These are the topics we've been talking about.
Books, though.
Books.
Is there anything like this summer, like new releases, trends, influencers caught your eye? Like,
Yeah, a big author for me this summer has been Abby Jimenez. I hope I'm saying that right. She really is, like, I finished all the Emily Henry books, so she's kind of, like, taking that place now.
Nice.
So it's just been really good to find, like, your girl, you know? It, like, stinks when you finish, like, an author you really like all of their books, because then you're, like, lost. So it's like nice. It's like, okay, I'm home again.
Right.
So I really liked her. I also have been so intrigued. I don't know that much yet, but I've been really intrigued about the Powerless drama. I don't know if you've heard anything about it.
a little bit, yeah.
So there's this book called Powerless, and there's this book called Red Queen. They're both series. I don't think the Powerless one is finished yet. I read the Red Queen series when I was in high school. I loved it. I actually recently reread it, like, maybe last year. It was really good. But on Book Talk, there's been a lot of accusation that Powerless is, like, so copyright, like, word for word. Not, like, word for word, but, like, the story is the exact same. So I started Powerless. I'm assuming I'm gonna like it, because I liked the Red Queen series, but I'm
right to the source.
I'm so curious to know, like, is it the exact same? And so far,
Pretty
like,
close.
just the structure, like there are brothers in both of them, and, like, the dynamic of the brothers, like, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's been, like, that's the tea that I've been sipping on. I'm like,
Curiouser and curiouser. Speaking of tea, have you been keeping up with the It Ends With Us
a
drama?
little bit.
So I am all about the pop culture drama, so I keep up with it all.
Yeah.
I did not read It Ends With Us. I'm not a huge Colleen Hoover fan. It's not my preferred genre within the romance, although I do dabble in it occasionally. I'm just not a big fan of hers. Regardless of what people think of her, I really don't know the drama behind her as an author
Yeah, I
and
don't
why
know either.
people don't like her. But just strictly from a writing standpoint, I'm not a big fan.
She's also not really for me.
Yeah.
We're more fantasy gals anyway.
Yes. So I haven't read the book, but obviously the movie has come out starring Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, I think is how you pronounce his last name, who also Jason directed it. And
Blake produced it.
And there's been a lot of speculation about this all. Nothing's been confirmed, so this is all alleged. But I guess there's been, like, a rift between... I think it's Justin is his name, right? Not Jason. No, I think it's Justin.
I think it's Justin.
Okay, we're gonna go with it.
With Mr. Director.
But Mr. Director, no, I'm pretty sure it's Justin. I started second guessing myself, but I think it is.
I think you're right.
Has been, like, ostracized by the rest of the cast. Like, nobody follows him
on
anymore, even though
Instagram.
he follows everybody else. There's no, like, cast pictures with him included. And whenever, like, they're asked about him with press, like, all the actors completely, like, work their way around it without ever having to mention anything about him. It's kind of weird. But there's been, like, 2 different types of PR with this movie on top of this too that people are noticing. So that's, like, one facet of it. And the other facet of it is that Justin's, like, production company got the rights to this movie forever. I think it's, like, back in 2019 to make this movie. And eventually they cast Blake Lively, who came on with the stipulation that she wanted to help produce it. Well, they had creative differences, allegedly, about how they wanted to handle this movie. And Justin really wanted to focus on bringing attention to domestic violence, the issue of it, and bringing awareness for it and for survivors, and really, like, had a powerful message behind wanting to make this movie because of what the book is about.
Yeah.
Versus Blake Lively's PR that she's been doing. And Justin has been, like, anytime he goes to do PR for this movie, he talks about it strongly, and he talks about resources for these women who are going through these issues, and just, like, is very eloquent in how he speaks about this, and it really makes it the main focus of all of his PR. Versus Blake Lively makes it seem very rom-com-y, like, grab your girlies, wear your florals, come see this movie kind of thing.
Yeah.
On top of that, she's been launching, like, products for like her hair care line. So kind of like bootlegging off the movies promo to help promote that. And her husband Ryan Reynolds has his Deadpool movie out. So
And he produced 2 scenes in the
in the It Ends With Us, he like helped write 2 scenes in it, and like they've been like a production or a producers like together on it. And people are speculating they're trying to create like this Barbie Oppenheimer situation between their 2 movies, even though the whole like situation with this book is much more heavy a topic than what a rom-com like Barbie movie would be to fit in that category.
Has Colleen said anything?
No. And that's kind of where people are like, nobody has said anything. Everybody initially wants to side with Justin on this because just looking at what we know.
Yeah. And his his relationship with past like actors in past movies has been very strong.
Well, and crew has come out from this movie like singing his praises about how much like they loved working with him. So yep. And so it's kind of bizarre that the rest of the cast just like does not like him for some reason, but it's like this unknown reason, and why they're taking sides, nobody knows what's going on. You see the 2 different, obviously there's like truth that lies in the middle, so I'm sure creative differences had a huge part in whatever is happening right now. There's even speculation that maybe it's just fake drama for PR, which is
that's not surprising either.
It's a valid speculation, I think, because that's very well could be it too. Will we ever know the truth? Probably not. But it's fun to hear everybody's speculations about it anyway. So
a group gossip sesh.
Yep, I live for it. I love it. And we're going to go see the movie with girlfriends too. On Sunday. So we will give you our thoughts in the next episode.
Yeah, we will. What other book stuff has been on your mind?
I did find these new book influencers. I didn't find them, actually.
Do tell.
Sarah, our friend, has sent me a few of their TikToks, and now I just follow them.
Okay.
They're 2 sisters. It's Kristen and Maddie at chris.and.mads on TikTok. And they are fantastic. I think that you would love a lot of the books that they recommend, because they're very much within our, like, fantasy vibe, but they do a lot of high fantasy, and they do mix in like sci-fi they do a couple of like mysteries, biographies, romance, but really it's more strongly within like the fantasy or sci-fi kind of realm for the books that they recommend. But they all seem really interesting, and they're constantly like, their reading count within a month is insane to me. I wish I could read that much in a month, especially because the books that they're reading are not short books. Like, they are hefty bricks, so it's quite impressive how fast they get through these. But I love their content, and they go like kind of rapid fire through it, so it gives you enough context to the book to know if you like are interested in it or not without dragging on, because I feel like a lot of other reviewers can do too.
I feel like it's like one end of the spectrum or the other. I haven't really found many good middle people. Like, some people just like flashing the cover, or like 2 seconds of like what it is and then it's gone, or it's like, here's 30 seconds of me talking about this book. I'm like, speed it up.
Exactly. Yeah. The 2 times speed all the time.
I'm like, I need 8 times speed.
Yes. And what I appreciate about them too is they have a bunch of different types of books that you're not seeing all over Book Talk. Because I feel like people recommend the same kind of books over and over again, regardless of genre. So these are like different books than what you normally see from like everybody else. So really love them. Shout out to them. The other thing that's happened this summer, my sister.
Shout out Abby.
Shout out Abby. She is slowly dipping her toes into the reading world.
I just added her on Goodreads the other day.
Yes, she just added me too. I'm so excited. But I'm like, it's one of those excited where I have to really contain it and keep to myself on the side and just like let it happen. Because if I try to like encourage too much,
Here's a stack of books. Like,
she's like a deer and like on the far side of the meadow. If I make one wrong move, I'm gonna scare her off because it's too intimidating.
That's funny. When I looked on her Goodreads page, though, some of the books that she had read, I have read. Like the Match trilogy was like one of my favorites in high school. So I was like, oh my gosh, like,
and she's reading the what was the book that we just did for one of our book talks? The trilogy
the Firebird series.
Yes. She's reading the Firebird series now. She's just started that. So I'm curious.
I know, she's supposed to share updates and like notes with it. And I was like, go Abby, do it.
I'm so proud of her. And I'm like, it's like sitting from afar, just like,
we're both like in the window, like jumping up and down, and she's just watching.
Yep. So not messing with her, but really excited and hope she continues down this
Abby,
journey.
just skip over this part of the podcast, okay?
Don't listen. It's fine. You're reading again? Wow, that's great. I didn't know.
I love that.
So yeah, that's been exciting and to see too this summer. But
that's good.
that kind of wraps it up for me.
That's good. Oh my gosh. Well, should we get into the actual book that we did read?
Do it. Read, quote unquote, for me.
Yeah. So, our book, again, was The Housemaid. And so here's what the book description was, or is. Every day I clean the Winchesters' beautiful house top to bottom. I collect their daughter from school, and I cook a delicious meal for the whole family before heading up to eat alone in my tiny room on the top floor. I try to ignore how Nina makes a mess just to watch me clean it up, how she tells strange lies about her own daughter, and how her husband Andrew seems more broken every day. But as I look into Andrew's handsome brown eyes, so full of pain, it's hard not to imagine what it would be like to live Nina's life. The walk-in closet, the fancy car, the perfect husband. I only try on one of Nina's pristine white dresses once, just to see what it's like. But she soon finds out. And by the time I realize my attic bedroom door only locks from the outside, it's far too late. But I reassure myself, the Winchesters don't know who I really am. They don't know what I'm capable of. Dun, dun, dun.
You read so well.
Thank you. I was that kid in elementary school that was like, do I have the biggest paragraph to read in the text?
Meanwhile, I'm
It's
over
so
there
cringy.
like stress sweat coming down my forehead, like counting the paragraphs and like reading it over and over so I don't mess up.
I'm like, this is my performance, guys. Like, this is gonna get me Emmy nominated.
Well, you do a fantastic job.
Thank you.
So this
Okay.
book.
So, reading recap. This is going to be hard because Michaela didn't finish the book.
I did not. I couldn't finish it. We'll get into it after. So we are leaning heavily on Darby's memory for this one.
And I'm going to try and summarize, but I realized as I was filling out our notes for this, I've read 9 books since this one. So it's going to be a little hard to remember. We were really doing our hot girl summer thing.
Yep.
I thought I was going to be like on top of it for our July podcast. So I was like, I'm reading early, which usually Michaela finishes the book before I do for our book talks. And I was like, oh, I finished it first. And then we had our little break. Anyway.
You killed it. But
Thanks. Yeah. 9 books later. Warning. Book spoilers ahead. Please head to the description and show notes to find where to skip to. You have been warned. Basically, what happens is like kind of, you know, what the book description says. She is this girl who like doesn't have a lot of money, I think.
just fresh out of jail.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Here,
like- I'll do what I
summarize
remember.
the beginning part, and then I'll jump in for mid-end.
From what I remember, it's this girl, I forget her name now. She's living out of her car. She's has a parole officer because she's fresh out of the slammer.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't know for what. She's trying to get her life together. And so she's desperately like looking for a new job because technically she's unemployed, which is breaking parole right now.
Mm-hmm.
So she takes this job with the Winchesters, and it seems great at first. But then the wife starts acting like crazy after she hires this girl.
Big old Karen.
And where she's like, they're best friends one minute, then the next minute she's yelling at her for like feeding her kid peanut butter because her kid is deathly allergic to peanut butter, which if your kid's deathly allergic to peanut butter, why do you even have it in the house? Mm-hmm. Plus it's like never mentioned to her before, but she's yelling at her like she's told her 1,000 times, how could you not remember this? And just making her feel crazy, leaving messes everywhere, expecting her to clean up, getting hyper jealous anytime her husband is around, and this girl is around not wanting, like, you know, her husband to talk to her or be nice to her or anything. Their kid is kind of scary.
Yeah.
And like a little bit of a Karen herself. And I think she's like 5. They also have this really attractive gardener. I think his name's Enzo, who does not speak English very well at all. I believe he's Italian. So when she first enters the house, he kind of tries to warn her in Italian, like she's in danger, basically. And that's like the word that it was. It was just danger. She didn't know any context.
Yeah.
Throughout the time, she's trying to like kind of learn how to talk to him a little bit about it. But obviously there's the language barrier. And he, like, refuses to talk about it.
Yeah, and I think one time she even, like, invites him in the house to, like, help her bring in something in the house because she can't carry it. And he, like, freaks. He's like, I can't go in there.
Yeah.
Or, like, he does, and he, like, runs out. Like,
right. Yeah, and, like, Nina found him, and she, like, freaked out on the housemaid for... I wish I could remember her name, but I just can't.
I can't remember it either.
She'll be the housemaid, and that's all that matters. She freaks out on the housemaid, who is our narrator, about it, and how, like, he's not allowed in the house for some reason. And that's about as far as I can remember. I think she was also making dinners for them, and she was really hitting it off with Andrew, the husband, and he was being super nice to her. Her bedroom also, because she's a live-in housemaid, is like up in this tiny room in the attic. It's the only room up there, super like small closet. And as like the book description says, it only has a lock from the outside. So, like,
Nina, like, gaslights her and is like, why is that an issue? Like,
right.
Yeah.
And, like, the windows don't open either. So, like, if you're trapped in there, like, you are trapped in there. But they give her, like, a key to it. So it makes her feel, like, some sense of help or whatever, like, security. Even though, like, it really shouldn't since she can't use it from the inside anyway. And Nina gets really weird about her spending time, like, in the house past working hours. So like after everybody's gone to bed, the housemaid decides to like go downstairs and watch TV.
And like Andrew goes down there one time.
Right. And it's like the middle of the night. So she thinks she's safe to like do this, and they never told her that she couldn't. And Andrew comes and joins her and like it's totally fine. But then Nina finds out and comes down in the middle of the night and like freaks out on her, basically tells her she has to stay in her room at all times. Like she can't use the rest of the house. And that is where my memory leaves off.
Okay, and then my memory kind of picks back up. At one point, Nina, like, gives the housemaid, like, all of her white clothes or something. It's, like, she gives her a trash bag full of, like, old clothes, that are still, like, super nice. And then, like, Nina has her make, like, a date night, like, orchestra thing, some sort of date outing for a specific weekend, and then Nina ends up not being able to do that weekend, and these tickets are non-refundable, so Nina is actually going, like, out of town with the daughter, because, like, the dates got messed up, and she's really mad at the housemaid about it, but she's like, well, I'm not going to be here this weekend, and then, long story short, Andrew and the housemaid end up going to the orchestra together, because he's like, let's not waste these tickets, so they basically go on a date. They, like, go out to dinner. I'm pretty sure they, like, have sex that night, like, in a hotel. And she's wearing one of, like, Nina's white dresses.
Right.
And so then that happens. And then after that, like, they're kind of, like, being, like, a little sneaky about it, like, trying to figure it out, I think, if my memory's correct. Like, afterwards, they're, like, not telling Nina, but they're trying to, like, figure it out. And then he's like, I'm, like, leaving her, I'm divorcing her. And Nina, like, flips out and is like, you did that, like, you planned this. Like, I can't believe you came into my house and, like, you just took my husband. Like, I hope you enjoy it. Like, what am I supposed to do now? I think is what happens. And then after that, the story literally shifts. And then the narrator becomes Nina. And then the story, I think. And then the story starts, not like starts over, but you hear about when she met Andrew for the first time and like how they got together, and you find out what the addict is really for. And it's because, he basically like tortures Nina. And so I think the first time he did it, she like her roots had grown out on her hair, like just barely, and she hadn't gotten it done. Or this wasn't the first time, but this was just one of the times. And he like locks her in there, and, he, like, locks her in there, and she's freaking out, and he, like, doesn't let her out until she like does a specific thing, like, and like she has to wait a super long time, or she has to apologize a certain way, or something along those lines, just torture. And then she comes out, and then basically like that's how their relationship goes. Like she can't leave their relationship because
he's crazy.
Yeah, because he's crazy.
It's like walking on eggshells.
Yeah, but then she has to be so careful, like if her lipstick smudges, if she doesn't say please and thank you to his mom, like just crazy things. Like he uses those as reasons to put her back in that room. And so Nina ended up plotting this whole thing. So Nina is actually the normal one. Andrew's the crazy one, the actual mean one. And so when the housemaid gets hired, Nina sets this whole plan into motion to make Andrew fall in love with the housemaid and make Nina seem like she's going like crazy and she's just like, you know, not wife material anymore. And that's exactly what happens. Andrew does like fall for the housemaid, and Nina's now in a sense set free with like this divorce. And also Nina and the gardener, like they have a thing. Not, well, I don't know if it was like a for sure thing, but like he like sees her in the attic one day and like notices that she hasn't come out. And so he like wants to help protect her and help save her. But then when he finds out that Nina orchestrated this whole like switcheroo, he's like, that's not right either. Like we have to save her too. Like we can't just leave her to be in the situation that you were in. So he was probably my favorite character. But anyway, sorry, we're still recapping. So the housemaid, once her and Andrew get together, she does something. Unfortunately, I don't remember what it was. I don't know if it was like leaving. Oh, I think she might have left a dish out. Like she didn't put a dish away. And so then he locks her in the room and she can't get out. And so she's like, whoa, this guy's psycho. And then somehow, I forget, but she ends up getting him trapped in the room. And she like does the whole thing to him, and she starts torturing him and is like, you can't come out unless you like put textbooks on your like groin area for like 3 hours or whatever. And then he does it, but then he takes the books off at the last second. And she's like, oh, you have to restart, because he would do that too. He would make you like restart, and he's like, I can't do that. Like, and then I think she made him like pull out his teeth. Like it was crazy. And then I think he like took his own life, or he just dies up there. And Nina goes back to try and save her, and then walks into like her killing him. And then the book like leaves kind of on a cliffhanger with like the housemaid now starting somewhere else because Nina suggested it to that wife, basically insinuating like
to kill the husband because he's bad.
Yeah. So that's what I remember. Yeah. So it was interesting. What were your initial thoughts? I know you didn't finish it, but what were your initial thoughts?
I try really hard, especially because we do this podcast. I try really hard to like finish the book so we can like talk about it, even if I don't like it. But it gets to a point sometimes where I'm like, I'm just torturing myself by trying to read the book that I just can't get through it. And this, unfortunately, was one of those times, which was really disappointing to me because I think you and I had opposite views on this story. I really enjoyed like the plot of it. Yeah. And like even just listening to you talk about it,
you were like captivated.
I was captivated by the story. I thought it was a very like unique take on it, not being the wife that was crazy, but being the husband and doing like the flip-flop of it, versus like kind of like other books where it's like a Gone Girl situation where typically it's like the wife plotting everything, but she's the one that's crazy. So I really, really wanted to like this book solely for the plot, but the writing killed it for me. It was like nails on a chalkboard for me trying to get through this writing. I could not get through it.
Yeah.
It was too...
Not your style.
No, it was not. I did look up the spoilers, though, after the fact, because I did want to know what happened in the story. And I was really sad that I just couldn't push through the writing to finish it, because it was interesting.
And you never got to Nina's point of view, right?
No. Nope. The last thing I remember was actually when he came in. I think the gardener came in. Oh, she had just given her the white dresses. I didn't get to see like the whole trying on part, or I didn't get through that, but she had just given her all the white dresses. This is where I stopped. I just couldn't make it through anymore. But what about you?
I definitely thought it was like a super quick read, and like the story was like captivating in a sense of, like, I was like, oh, what's going to happen? But it definitely just let me down. I really didn't like how quick the ending jump was from him, like, torturing himself to him being dead. It's like, maybe I've just read too many, like, fantasy books to where, like, you read, like, and he was stabbed in the heart. But, like, it doesn't tell you, like, how he died. Yeah.
Oh, that would bother me.
Yeah, so it's just, like, he's pulling out his teeth, and you're like, oh, my gosh, what's he going to say next? What's she going to say? And then it's like, he's dead. You're like, what? So I didn't like that.
Yeah.
And it just, like, it kind of made me feel, like, icky. And I, like, that's the only word I can use to describe it, was, like, icky. And it's different because, like, I can read a torturing, like, fantasy scene, but it's different because it's, like, not real. Maybe because it was, like,
too real.
Yeah, too real, that I was just like, oh, this is feeling a little icky for me.
Yeah, that would get me too a little bit. Because I can do, like, some form, like, psychological torture is a little bit easier for me, like the silent patient kind of thing. But yeah, with, like, physical torture, I don't know if I could.
Well, and the whole, like, I think I felt icky about, like, Nina, like, orchestrating this whole thing to get this woman trapped into the same position she was in. Like, that was almost, like, really icky as well.
Yeah.
But the pace of this book felt weird to me, and I didn't like how it switched to Nina's point of view. Like, you needed it to get the context, but it just was, like, weird, the pace of, like, you're just having this one narrator, and then all of a sudden it's like you just read her backstory, and then how. So, yeah, it just felt weird. Not for me.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite part at all?
It was interesting seeing the wife's plan unravel, but then at the same time, it, like, made me feel weird.
Yeah.
I was like, why? Like, you literally have been tortured, and you're gonna put another woman right in your place, and, like, maybe if you've been tortured, I've never been tortured, you know, thankfully.
Right.
Like, I don't know what the lengths I would do to, like, switch. So maybe she had just, like, really thought it was the only way. But it was interesting, like, seeing it all from a different perspective of, like, oh, she knows her daughter doesn't have a peanut allergy, but, like, that was part of the plan, you know?
Right.
Like, that was
to make herself, like, crazy, kind of. Yeah, no, I get that. I think it is cool. Yeah, that's probably my favorite part was, like, the twist of it all and how it was her idea all along, because it was just interesting and, like, different than, I'm not saying it's, like, the most original, like, hasn't been done before, but it's not something you see very often to make it feel, like, new and different. So I wish I could have enjoyed it more. Did you have, like, a least favorite part?
Yeah, the ending, like I said, it was just really, like it felt like we were on, like, such a high, not like a high, but such like a climatic, like, is that the word?
Anticlimactic?
No, not anti, because that's, like, it wasn't.
Oh, you were
chaotic.
at, like, the peak of the climax.
There we go.
Yeah.
It's like we were at this, like, climax of all this stuff happening, and it, like, I almost would have wished that, like, Nina came in, saw her outside of the door torturing him, and, like, Nina was able to be like, yeah, F you, and then him, like, thump to the ground. Like, I don't know. It just was very much like, and he's gone, and now she's just walking in, and
like, the satisfaction of him seeing the two of them work together against him almost.
Yeah. So the ending was definitely like, like, such a letdown, and people just had overhyped it, I guess.
Yeah.
That's how I felt.
I had a coworker who read that, and just what she mentioned too, that the ending felt, like, really rushed, and she didn't like how, I guess, the cop, like, that was mentioned after, like, they find him was, like, the brother of another one of his victims, so they basically, like, got off
it really was
scot-free.
So just, like,
and, like, that just felt very, like, forced is what she said, which I can totally understand. Obviously I don't have that context, but it makes sense the way she described it.
What was your least favorite part?
Least favorite part, I really couldn't say, just because I feel like I really didn't get into it, but it's just the writing for me in this whole book. It felt very, like, high school creative writing class to me. It was really slow in a lot of parts that I thought should have been, like, quicker, because it was, like, unnecessary in details, but then it, like, sped through, like, some other parts that I thought needed way more context or, like, descriptors. So, and it felt, like, very choppy throughout the whole thing too. So I just I did not enjoy the writing of this at all. Apologies to the author. I know you probably worked really hard on this, obviously, with
but there are some people that loved this book, loved this series, so, you know,
that's what I feel like. If it was a TV series or a movie, I think I would have no problems with it. I think I would have much rather, like, watched it than read it. For me personally.
I know you didn't read it, but after Reddit and all the stuff. Were you surprised by the ending?
I was, yeah. I did not see it coming because at least from like the predictions I was making from what I was reading, I was nowhere on my radar that it could have been the husband. So that really, like, when I went back and read spoilers and saw that was the husband, it was one of those like, oh, really moments. So yeah, that did surprise me. What about you?
Like, yes and no. Like, yes, I didn't see some things coming, but then it like totally made sense. Which, like, yeah, I don't know. I just didn't know how certain things were going to happen, but, like, I knew, like...
what was happening.
Kind of, yeah. Like, I knew the housemaid wasn't going to die and be trapped in the relationship. Right. Like, I don't know. Yeah. So, there were definitely surprising parts, but...
I'm assuming you're not going to finish the series.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And you're not.
I'm not
going to finish the book or the
reading,
series.
at least. If they do come out with a TV series, like I know they have like a Good Girl's Guide to Murder or something that just came out on Netflix. I haven't read that book, but I know that there's another adaptation. So if they do something like that, I will watch it and maybe like watch through the whole series.
Yeah.
Obviously, like all judgment saved till I actually see it. But in theory, yeah, I would definitely do that. But reading wise, no, definitely not.
Yeah. Kind of a quick summary, but what are your final thoughts? And did you even rate it if you didn't finish it?
I did, because in order at least I haven't figured this out on Goodreads quite
to like
yet.
shelve it, like
I think that there might be a way from looking at other people's shelves to like finish a book without having to rate a book, like as like an unfinished finished book kind of thing, so you can get it off of your TBR, but like not within your like I read this year kind of thing. I don't know how to do that just yet though, so it's still
someone tell us.
Yeah, if you know how to, please let me know.
I don't know either.
So I have to rate it, but for me that's always a 1 star, obviously, because I can't rate it, even though I liked like the concept of the book. If I couldn't finish the book, I can't rate it any higher than a 1.
Yeah. I gave it 3 stars, which I think is pretty generous.
That is very generous.
Yeah.
I was shocked.
I didn't like it. I didn't love it. Or wait. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. Like, it was just a mid book. But I did, like, read it pretty quickly, and it was an interesting story. But what I'm really excited about is August Book Club, because I actually have read this book already, and I felt very differently about this book than our last one. But our next book club book is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by Victoria Schwab. So I'll read the book description, and now I have like some pressure because Michaela told me I read the last one.
You're going to do great.
France, 1714. In a moment of desperation, a young woman makes a Faustian bargain to live forever, and is cursed to be forgotten by everyone she meets. Thus begins the extraordinary life of Addie LaRue, and a dazzling adventure that will play out across centuries and continents, across history and art, as a young woman learns how far she will go to leave her mark on the world. But everything changes when, after nearly 300 years, Addie stumbles across a young man in a hidden bookstore, and he remembers her name.
Dun, dun, dun.
I can't talk about it yet. We'll talk about it like next book club, but I'm really excited to talk about this one and for you to read it.
This has been on like my book club suggestions for a while, because I know people have raved about it, and it's like a fantasy, but in a very different fantasy way than what we normally think of and read of as fantasy. I have started it. I through part 1 of the book, and I'm enjoying it so far. And I am curious to see how the story it's like out. I got through like the setting the stage of the story, so I'm curious, to see how the plot takes off.
It's funny because I didn't hear I really hadn't heard much about this book, and then it was like one of those things on TikTok where it's like, or like a couple of sentences from the book, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to read that.
Yeah,
I won't say well, it's where it says he remembers her name. It's like that part was on TikTok, and I was like, what do you mean? So I audiobooked it, and Julia Whalen, anybody who knows me knows that is my audiobook girl. She narrated this book, and
so good.
We're going to get into it next month. Please read or listen to it. So
it'll be good. It'll be a good discussion. I can already tell it's going to be a good discussion book.
Oh, it's
It's gonna be like Nightingale discussion.
Ooh.
At least that's the passion I have for it, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, I don't want to talk about it
Okay,
early.
we're gonna move on. We're gonna
Borrows
move on.
and returns.
Yep.
Borrows and returns.
Go ahead, take us away, Darby.
Okay, I've returned a lot of books.
Yep.
I'm gonna try and be fast.
So proud of you. You were cranking.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little impressed with myself.
I'm impressed too.
Thanks. They have been a lot of audiobooks, but
It counts.
it's still hours.
Yes.
The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue was like 17 hours.
Regardless of whether you're reading it with your eyes or listening in your ears, it's the same story, the same words. So it still counts.
That's true. And I'm not like on audiobook, the fastest I go is 1.2 speed. Like I can't go faster than
I
that.
can't either.
Unless I'm really at the end and I don't care about the book, then I'll do like 1.75 because I'm like, let's wrap it up.
Right.
But that's only happened to me like twice. Anywho, my returns. I read the first 3 books of the Inheritance Games by Jennifer Barnes. I think there's more in this series, but
There's like 1 or maybe 2
yeah.
more.
But I think I'm going to stop here. They were good. I wasn't like in love with them, but it was a nice like change of pace from what I had been reading.
They're cute. I like them. I only read the first 2, but I got through the second one. I'm like, I'm good here. I'm going to stop.
I feel like it would be a really good like Summer I Turned Pretty, like a teen show.
Yes.
Like if they made that into a teen show and like casted it right, I think it would be like really good.
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah. But it was definitely like YA novel.
Yeah.
But it was good. I liked it.
I love the puzzles. That's what got me.
I read The Love Hypothesis by Allie Hazelwood.
That's a popular one I've seen a lot.
Yeah, and this was the same author of the Bride book that I read, and that had been her first fantasy book. So typically she's like a romance author. So it was interesting to see her like in her element, and I did like this one. I forget, I should have written down my ratings. I don't remember what I rated it. I didn't like, definitely wasn't 5 stars, but it was like a solid romance book. I read Just for the Summer and The Friend Zone by Abby Jimenez. Woo! So good.
I've heard good things about her.
So good. Yeah. I think I gave them both 5 stars maybe. Really good. I'm excited to keep reading her books.
Yay!
Yeah, they were just good. Good banter. Good stories.
We love a good banter.
Yeah. I have read the first 2 books of Trial of the Sun Queen by Nisha Tooley. The writing is not amazing. I was so engrossed by, is that the word? I was so engrossed by the first book, and like I read that really quickly. But then the second book like dragged on, and she said that she like does like a preface like before, it's like 1 page where she like talks about like the book, like an author's note, but in the beginning kind of, which is interesting. And she said to expect like a lot of angst in this second book and to be a little frustrated with the characters, which I was, but it was also like just a little repetitive, you know, like one of those things of like, I can't love you, you're my enemy, but like something's weird I'm drawn to, and I'm like, okay, like, yeah, I can't I cannot hear that 50 times. Like, find the one bed in the inn and like, let's get things going.
Right.
Like,
She probably did, if she left the note in the front before you read it, she probably did that on purpose to like make you really frustrated. So that way I'm hoping, at least for you, that the 3rd book is gonna like be super good.
I just bought the 3rd book, so that leads into my borrows. Well, I read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, but we're going to talk about that next time. So my borrows, I haven't started it yet, but I did get the 3rd book in that series. I finally picked back up How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Woo-hoo.
I want to finish it by the end of the year.
You're going to, I know you will.
Hopefully, but that's definitely more self-help, and I want to like digest that and not just like read it to read it.
No
so
rush.
that's why it like takes me a while. It's been good. And then I just started Powerless, which I don't remember the author's name, but I just started that one. And then I have a couple others that are like on the TBR, but I think that's where we're at right now.
Cool.
Okay, that was a lot. You go.
I don't have as much, but I'll get into it. I'll start with my returns.
Yes.
I finally finished Cersei.
Yeah, you did.
That was a while ago, so my memory on it a little bit hazy, but it was a 5-star book for me. It was
Good.
The writing, her writing is just phenomenal.
Yay.
I love the way that she writes, and like it's like almost makes me think of like watercolors in a scene, like the way she
Oh, that's
writes.
peaceful.
It's very like lyrical, and it's phenomenal is the only word I can say. Great story of womanhood and like finding one's purpose, and like it really gets into the complexities of morality, or mortality, not morality. There's a mortality, because she's like this goddess, and so of she lives forever, and like all that happens within like her forever life, and like the differences, and like can it really be like super fulfilling without you know like love or whatever family people to share it with, that kind of thing. But what was really beautiful about that book was it was truly like a feminist novel in the most graceful way that you can do it. It wasn't very like in your face, like I am woman, hear me roar. It was just, she just is what
I love
the
that.
whole movement is supposed to be, you know? And that's what I love, because I hate things that are just so in your face. Like,
I feel like that's a lot of TikTok too, or just social media in general. It's like, this is bad, or this is great, and it's like, okay, don't like tell me, show me, like, you know, like, so.
Or even it's like, you're a woman, but we can do like, we're women, we can do anything. It's like, yeah, I know. Like,
I am a woman.
I don't need you to tell me I can do anything. I know I can do anything. So it's just nice seeing,
just
like,
let me not work, and
then it like wasn't like over the top, like forcing it. It was just done beautifully, and like that showing that very like undertone way of the like strength within grace kind of thing. So it's just so well done, and I really enjoyed it. Next book on my returns is The King of Atolia, which is the third book in the Queen's Thief series by Megan Whalen Turner. Another 5-star book for me. This series, I love this series. It's fantasy, but in a, I can't even say it. It is fantasy, but not in typical fantasy. It's definitely more political, like, intrigue.
Not as much for me.
It's like less like dragons and magic, and more just like kingdoms and like Game
war
of Thrones
schemes.
kind of vibes. It's definitely not for everybody. I will say the first book to get through is slow paced, and like if you can get through the first book, the rest of the series is worth it, in my opinion. At least up through the third book. I've only read through the third book. And that's not to say anything bad about the first book, but I just know that it's definitely like one of those you have to have a taste for it, because it's very much one of the books that makes you think. There's not as much action. There is to keep the plot moving, but it's definitely more of the twists and turns and the puzzles of like, you know, schemes upon schemes upon schemes, and you finally get like the reveal at the end kind of situation with this series. But this book specifically was my favorite thus far because of the intricacies. You get little plot twists throughout the story this time, instead of just at the very end with like the big reveal. But so you get like the little plot twists that like change the course of how you're thinking throughout the book, and then with the big plot twist at the very end, it's like it's still surprising, even though you can kind of maybe see it coming, but then just like so satisfying relief. It's just so intricately well done. I love it.
That sounds good.
It is very, very good. So if you're into like mind games, twistings, like fantasy,
it definitely sounds like a book for you. Like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
It has a little bit of romance in there too, but not like,
it's not the overarching
it is
theme.
no, and it's definitely not like a satisfying romance by any means. It's more understated. This whole book is much more understated, but so good.
Nice.
My other book, The Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels. This is also a series, I realized. And The Dangerous Damsels. It's the first book by India Holton. This was a 3-star book for me. It was cute. It's very Enola Holmes vibes to me.
Okay.
It was, I was expecting much more like Enola Holmes, like historical fiction when I picked it up. But that was completely on me for misreading the back of the book, because
it happened.
It is a fantasy. Like, there's like flying houses and pirates and things like that. But it's very like high society England at the same time. So when you say pirates, it's like ladies who like sit down and have tea parties, but they're pirates at the same time. I don't know. It's very complex, or not complex.
What is a pirate?
It's very what's the word? Contradictory in what you think of with pirates. But it was cute. It's a silly little fantasy. It's got a fun little romance. There's lots of tension and build up there too. It definitely just like one of those quick little reads to throw in between your big series. I liked it. I might finish the series to throw in as like little breathers in between like big series. We'll see. But it was cute. Good. And my audiobook that I just finished, complete 180 from everything else, is my nonfiction, The Hidden Life of Trees, What They Feel, How They Communicate, Discoveries from a Secret World by Peter Wolleben.
Is this actually about trees?
Yes.
Like the plant?
Yes.
Wait, I want to read this book. Tell me more.
So it was very intriguing. I saw this on a TikTok of like nonfiction books that read kind of like fiction that you should try out. And so I love trees. I'm like, sure, let's give it a shot. It was very interesting. I enjoyed most of it. I gave it 3 stars. The beginning part was really
I don't think trees could get 5 stars. No offense. I love trees, but like
it does get a little bit too textbook as far as like nonfiction is concerned, but it's funny listening to the narrator because I felt very much like I'm watching like a Nat Geo like nature documentary, but like in my mind about trees is how it felt like. That's in the way that it was like read. It was really cool and like giving facts, like for example, trees in a forest can actually like communicate with one another and like save other trees that are like dying through their root system. So I'm like gonna cry. Their roots are all connected. So if a tree is like chopped at like the to the stump, that tree can still live because other trees around it are giving it nutrients through its roots.
My heart.
I know. And like they have this whole community, and I guess that like in Africa, if a giraffe is like eating the leaves off of a tree, it gives off a scent that other trees downwind can pick up, and they can change the taste of their leaves.
So giraffes won't want it?
So the giraffes want it as like a protection for themselves.
That's so cool.
Isn't that wild?
Wow, you have so many fun facts.
I know.
Now.
So it was like really fun and like interesting.
If you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be?
Ooh, a weeping willow.
Okay.
I love a good weeping willow.
That's good.
So, what about you?
I would be a tulip poplar.
Ooh.
The only reason I know about these trees, when I was a zipline guide, a lot of our zipline platforms were attached to tulip poplar trees.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, and it was really interesting because pretty sure it's been a long time now since I worked there, but I'm pretty sure tulip poplars are pretty like hollow and they like move very easily, but when they move, they like break down. And like that's a good thing. Like it's good for them to move because it like helps water get through. Something like that. These are definitely not the real facts, but it's just like nostalgic because it makes me think of the zipline guide stuff, and they were pretty big trees.
They're so interesting. There's so many little fun facts that you like get from the book. So yeah, I definitely recommend. But it's one of those that it gets very in depth at some points.
Yeah,
and like or into like details about like the bugs or things like that. You just don't really care about. It's not as critters. Like it's not as fun as hearing about a tree community, you know. And so
that's cool though. I'm gonna need to hear more fun facts.
It's definitely fun, and it was 3 stars for sure. It was good. Maybe fast forward through some of the boring parts and you get to the fun parts. But overall, great, and it was a fun find, something different for me.
Yeah.
Getting into my borrows now, what I'm currently reading. Obviously, I'm reading Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Already talked about that a little bit. But the other book that I'm currently reading, my audiobook, is Becoming Bulletproof by Evie Pomporis. So this one I found on Goodreads through our friend Janine. She added it to her TBR, and I was like, that looks interesting. I read it, and I guess the author used to be a Secret Service agent. And so it's kind of like this self-help book where she gives you, it's like split into 2 parts. So like the first part is giving you tips on like how to protect yourself and like your home in like a physical way.
Yeah.
And the second part that I'm just now getting into is more the psychology behind it, like how to detect if somebody's lying to you and like protecting yourself like mentally in that way.
Ooh, okay. If you like it, let me know. Maybe
very interesting. I am loving it so far. She's like a phenomenal narrator, so I really enjoyed listening to her. She's got like a New York accent. Ooh. And so it's like, I don't know, it's just nice listening to her. And she's very eloquent the way she speaks, the way that she writes. She gets very much to the point and gives you the straight facts of like how to get through these situations with enough detail for you to understand, but without like going too in depth to where you get like really bored and like, I just don't care. So she finds that really nice balance. I will warn put the caveat in there that if you are an overthinker like me, where you're thinking about like all the dangers in the world, this book will help you tremendously.
Oh,
and the
so it's
opposite
a
way.
good thing.
It is a good thing. But if you're somebody who doesn't think about all the dangers in the world constantly, this book might not be for you because it might make you start thinking about all
Just
of those
at me.
things. Right? So who's maybe not so much aware.
I live in a bubble.
Yeah. I mean, it's just knowing yourself. And so if you know that like you can take it and you're not going to like start overthinking everything or like being like super weirded out by like the world basically, then by obviously, yes, I highly recommend reading the book. But if it is definitely one of those where it makes you aware of every situation and possible scenarios. And like, it basically, for me as an overthinker, is fantastic because it gives you ways to like figure out your plan of action if this happens. So you already have your plan of action in place, so you can just enjoy wherever you're at. If you're like a concert or something like that, you can just enjoy the concert because you already have your plan in place if something goes wrong, instead of like being on edge and nervous, like what could happen. So it helps in that way if you're an overthinker. But if you're somebody who's not thinking about that, all of a sudden it could put the thought in your head that something might happen while you're at the concert and making you like start to overthink it a little bit.
Well, now I want to read it just to see if it would make me feel that way.
It's definitely a like, it's up to you and like how you know yourself the best and like how you think you'll, and it very well like you could enjoy it and get some great things out of it too. I'm not saying that it would happen, but just something to be like aware of. If you're not thinking about it, it might start making you think about these things in a maybe not so great way. But for me, it's been fantastic. And I think it's going to give me a lot of freedom, mental clarity in my life. And I'm excited to get into the psychology part of it now.
Yeah. I'm sure it probably makes you think too, like, because you're only probably getting a teaspoon of her actual knowledge. And it's like, how fruitful, like, of all the... What am I trying to say? Like, these, you said she was Secret Service?
Yep.
These Secret Service people have so much, like...
Oh, yeah.
Like, they're trained so well in this niche. Like, that, I always find that so cool. No matter what your niche is, no matter what you do, the fact that you, like, know so much about that, I think is so cool.
And she does tell, like, personal stories that she's been through. Like, she starts the book off with, like, her story of how she was in New York on 9/11 and, like, helping people... like clear away from the towers when this all happened. Oh my gosh, I got so emotional during that part because she just told it so well.
Yeah.
But she tells these like incredible stories and how like she was a polygrapher for the Secret Service too for a while.
Wow.
So like that's how she gets into the psychology of it, and like because you had to go through super extensive training, because just because you have the test doesn't mean anything. Like you, the person has to be aware of like what are triggers for lies. So it's like you have the duality of it when you're doing a polygraph test. So she was doing that, but she obviously was on like the presidential like Secret Service and like helping with a lot of, so she has like so many things that she's done throughout her career too, with so many like active stories that she tells to like help you understand too. It's really fascinating here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, you got some good borrows.
Yeah.
You got some good borrows.
I'm excited to finish it, but yep, definitely recommend. So far so good. And yeah, we'll see how the rest of it goes.
I love it. Well, thanks for, hanging out with us during this book blender. We talked about a lot of stuff,
did.
borrows and returns, our book talk of The Housemaid, and then just
Summer
kind of
catch-up.
catching up with us. I had so much fun. I really missed this. So
Me too.
I'm so excited
Yeah.
about The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue.
It's gonna be
to talk
good.
about it with you. Definitely keep up with us on social media at the Lazy Girl Library.
Check us out. Our website is lazygirllibrary.com. You can leave a comment on our Instagram or send us a note on our website too. We love to hear from you.
Yeah. If there's ever anything you want us to talk about, if there's book tea, like the It Ends With Us or the Powerless that you know of,
Gobble
share
it
it. Yeah. And we'll chat about it. But we love you guys. We hope you have a great morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on when you're listening.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, dear listeners, we find ourselves at the end of another episode. And remember, the Lazy Girl Library is not just a podcast, it's a community. We absolutely love hearing from fellow book lovers, so don't forget to share your thoughts and your favorite reads with us on our social media. You can find us on Instagram at Lazy Girl Library. Make sure to check out our website, lazygirllibrary.com, your one-stop shop for all things Lazy Girl. Before we go, we want to take a moment to thank all of our wonderful listeners. Whether you're listening from your cozy bed, on your way to work, or anywhere in between, thank you for making us a part of your day and for being a part of our Lazy Girl family. So keep those pages turning, keep those imaginations flourishing, and remember, the best stories are yet to be discovered. Until next time, stay lazy and happy reading.